30 seconds. Time. Hey, I was noticing you got these bag gloves that are really thin and no padding. What's the idea behind that? Where do you get the idea?
Yeah, you know, Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson. I noticed the greats use it, so I went ahead and tried it too.
Well, because the great fighters of the past use it, you figured it might do something for you.
Yeah.
Why did they use it? Why did they use it?
Oh, that's a secret.
Come on, man, it's a secret.
That's the secret. I can't tell you that.
You can't tell me. Oh, man. All right, we're going to have to know what the secret is.
You're gonna have to find out.
Great boxing philosopher Roger Mayweather once said, people don't know poo-poo about boxing. He used a slightly different word. When Roger said that, he wasn't talking about the great Hall of Fame champions whose photos and stories I'm going to tell you about here in this video. Roger wasn't talking about them. He was talking about you and me, but especially you. People don't know nothing about boxing, but these fellas did. And there was a reason why they all used a very thin bag glove with virtually no padding in it. And that's what the question is today. Why did these great champions, what was their secret? What was the knowledge that they had that made them, all of them, use a bag glove that was thin and had virtually no padding? It's a question for you. The young but wise prospect in the beginning of this video mentioned Sugar Ray Robinson along with the Hall of Fame great Muhammad Ali. Here's a good photo of Sugar Ray Robinson in his prime. He retired with 174 professional victories, not to mention all the amateur victories he had in his career. Hundreds of amateur victories. I believe what I heard was somewhere near 200 amateur victories and never been defeated as an amateur. Sugar Ray Robinson, some of them out there think that Ray Robinson was the best welterweight ever because he held the welterweight championship twice. Others think Ray Robinson was the greatest out there because he held a middleweight championship. They think he was the greatest middleweight champion. But even more people out there believe he was just the greatest fighter that ever walked the earth. He's just the great Sugar Ray Robinson. Here he is hitting a double end bag. Ray Robinson hit all the punching bags as good as anybody ever hit a punching bag. Not to mention he hit opponents in a vicious manner. He was just awesome what he did in his workouts, in his training, in his fighting. He was a great tap dancer. What an entertainer. I try to copy Ray Robinson and some of the stuff I do on a speed bag, the pin and trap and stuff. That was Ray Robinson. Here's Ray Robinson in his great photo with Joe Louis. Ray Robinson, if there was anybody who knew secrets, if there was any secret to be known about anything in boxing, I'm sure Ray Robinson knew it. If he didn't, the guy standing there holding that bag, Joe Louis, he knew it. And we're going to talk about Joe Louis also here in this video before this is all over. We're going to talk about all these great Hall of Famers and the stuff that they knew. They was wise, they were smart, they had hundreds of professional fights. So what's the secret? Why did virtually all the Hall of Fame greats, old school fighters prior to the 1970s, mid-70s, why did they all use a much smaller bag glove? You see in this photo here with Muhammad Ali. He's pretty there. He's in his prime. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. That's Muhammad Ali. Let me tell you, I was privileged back in the day. Just happened. My father moved the family to Miami Beach from Boston in the 1960s. We moved to First Street in Washington. Up the block, there was a boxing gym, Fifth Street in Washington. Fifth Street Gym. One of the most renowned, probably the most renowned gym in the world, ever. Beatles were there. Champions came and went. Willie Pep, I mean, you can go on and on. Ray Robinson, all of them came and went. Many of them trained there as the home headquarters. I just happened to be very privileged, didn't know it, but I was at one of the best boxing gyms four blocks away and walked to the Fifth Street Gym where fighters like Muhammad Ali, frequented and called their home base. I witnessed a lot of other great fighters at the Fifth Street Gym, Hall of Famers. They all use a small bag glove, virtually no padding. I mean, Willie Pastrana, Louis Rodriguez, these were in earlier days. Sugar Ray Leonard, many times I've seen him in the gym, and he used to use a thin bag glove. Alexis Arguello, he gave me, and Georgie Farinas and Leroy Lucero, he gave us some tough wear bag gloves. I also have a pair of bag gloves given to me by Muhammad Ali, an Everlast pair. Aaron Pryor was at the Fifth Street many times, and with Bojack. Bojack is a trainer, great world champion. Just so many great stories, so many fond memories. The Fifth Street Gym and Muhammad Ali. On his 36th birthday, me and him was in the dressing room, and he was being a wise guy, and somehow me and him got into a towel fight. And you don't want to fight too hard with 6'3", 225-pound Muhammad Ali, and you're only 135 pounds yourself. So anyhow, he's chasing me around the dressing room with his towel, stinging me up, and I busted out into the gym where there was a lot of photographers, and the gym was packed that day. This is his birthday. And once around the ring and back into the dressing room, and everybody had a good laugh with that one. These last two photos here, there's two photos with Joe Frazier and Ali. These are promotional fight photos, professional fights. These were two of the greatest fights the heavyweights have ever had. Ali fought this great Hall of Famer, Joe Frazier, 3 different times. He fought Kenny Norton 3 times. He fought Sonny Liston twice. Oh yeah, Sonny Liston. They interviewed Muhammad Ali one time, and they asked him who was the toughest, scariest opponent you ever faced, and he said it was Sonny Liston. Yeah, Sonny Liston. We're going to talk a little bit about Sonny Liston too. There's some things that was said about them fights, and I heard things because I was close to where you could hear things. I was close enough. We're going to talk about Sonny Liston later into this video, but we do recognize that all these great champions, Sonny Liston included, used a very small, thin bag glove. Let's take a look at some of these other great Hall of Fame champions, like Alexis Arguello. Do I got to tell you about Alexis Arguello? If I have to tell you about Alexis Arguello, then you're one of them people that Roger Mayweather was talking about. He was talking about people like you that don't know nothing about poo and don't know nothing about Alexis Arguello. Alexis Arguello, fabulous champion. Alexis Arguello used to work out at many of the gyms around South Florida. I had many occasions to chat with him and discuss punching. It was much of his influence that my punching style is patterned after. Nobody punched harder than Alexis Arguello, pound for pound. Probably the hardest puncher I've ever witnessed up close, pound for pound. Alexis Arguello was phenomenal. What a great champion, what a gentleman. And as you see, he used a different type of equipment than what is common today in the gyms. Yeah, I did say we'd take a look at Joe Louis. You notice the gloves he has on. Joe Louis, heavyweight champion of the world, professional fighter for almost 18 years. I think he had like 24, 25 defenses, successful defenses of the heavyweight championship of the world. Think he knew a little bit about boxing? Maybe he knew all the secrets even. Maybe we could ask him, take a look. What kind of gloves was he using? And why? Joe Louis. He's in the Hall of Fame. They made places like the Hall of Fame just for somebody like Joe Louis. You want to see some beautiful punching? You get on YouTube and you find Max Mellon, the second fight with Max Mellon, and watch what Joe Louis does to him. Or you want to see some good Max Mellon? Watch the first fight. Watch what he does to Joe Louis. Great fighters, great champions, Hall of Famers. They train with different gloves than what you're training with. Why? Here's a great photo of the Hall of Famer Sonny Liston. Notice the tough wear bag gloves? I had a pair like them when I was a young man. Sonny Liston, he had the most interesting life and death and circumstances involving the Italian mob and championship fights that there's a lot of discrepancy if they were on the level or not. Just a short story, though. Keep it a little short. Just to tell you what kind of monster Sonny Liston was. Italian mob found him, got him out of prison. He was, I believe, 19 years old. In prison, he was boxing. Somebody noticed he was exceptionally good. They put him in the Chicago Golden Gloves. He fought 5 times in the Chicago Golden Gloves. He knocked out all 5 men. These are in 3-round fights. He's knocking out each and every opponent. He went from there to the regional Golden Gloves. He fought 5 more times and he knocked out 5 more men. He went from there to the National Golden Glove Championships. He fought 5 more opponents and he knocked out all 5 of them. Now he's fought 15 opponents. He's knocked out 15 of them. These are in 3-minute rounds, by the way. 3-minute rounds. This is not 12-round, 15-round fight. These are 3-minute rounds, 3 rounds, and he's knocking everybody unconscious. They brought the gold medalist from the Olympics over from Poland to fight Sonny Liston. If you haven't guessed what Sonny Liston done, let me tell you, he knocked him out too. Sonny went on to become a professional after his Golden Glove experiences. 2 of his most famous fights was against Muhammad Ali. There's many out there who believe that those fights were not on the level, especially with Liston tied in with the Italian mob and the fact that Liston was a heavy gambler. And also, years after those fights, Liston was found dead in his apartment. And supposedly he had enough heroin in his body that would have killed an elephant. Thing was this, Liston didn't do heroin. Liston was afraid, according to his family and friends, he was afraid of needles. He was a heavy drinker, didn't mess with heroin. Let's take a look at some of these other great Hall of Fame champions. Bojack. Bojack fought more main events in Madison Square Garden than any other fighter ever. Bojack was also at the Fifth Street Gym where I trained. There's Carlos Monzon from Argentina. Carlos ruled the middleweight championships for years and years. That's Flashy Lorde, great champion, great world champion from the Philippines. And that's from Puerto Rico, the great lightweight champion, Hall of Famer, Carlos Ortiz. Notice the gloves these guys are wearing. Notice the equipment they use. That's Willie Pep. They had access to boxing gloves. They could have used sparring gloves. But when they punched on the bags, like Archie Moore here, over 220 professional fights, think these guys didn't know what they were doing? Do you think there wasn't a good reason for them using gloves like that? That's Jack Dempsey right there. And that's Rocky Marciano. You see their gloves. They had access to sparring gloves. They could have been punching bags with sparring gloves. And this is one of the guys from the martial arts. It's not Jackie Chan, it's the other fella, Bruce Lee. Looks like he must have knew something. I bet he knew the secret. You see him using a thin bag glove. And there's Ezra Charles using a glove that looks very similar to the gloves that they use in the UFC today. Boxing has had a glove like that for over 100 years. That's Archie Moore with a similar glove to what you would say was an MMA glove on his hands. He used that for a bag glove. That's Max Baer. Max Baer lost his title to the Cinderella Man. Max Baer, his son, was Jethro Bodine from the Beverly Hillbillies. And that's Sean O'Grady. He was promoted probably better than any other American fighter ever. He was 15 years old when he turned pro, and he's had 100 fights by the time he was 20. And that's Mike Tyson with what looks like an MMA glove. And that's Mike Tyson right there. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed those photos of those great Hall of Fame champions as much as I did. Did you notice some of the champs had bag gloves on that were similar to these mixed martial arts gloves? This style of glove goes back over 100 years in boxing. Anyhow, down below, I want you to leave your answer. Will you put a comment? Put your answer to the question. What was the secret? Why did the great Hall of Fame champions of years past use a small bag glove with virtually no padding? And also, if you can, follow me. I'm going to be putting out a lot more videos with the training habits of the great champions, old school boxing, old school training. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you.